coming to you live via Facebook streaming, live via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype closed group. Each one of you is welcome to this live broadcast, a simulcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Skype. Master chooses the disciple. Master chooses the disciple. As such, the disciple is unconscious. Keep your microphones mute. As such, before you open up, keep your microphone mute. Disciple is unconscious, so he cannot choose. It is the master who chooses the disciple, specifically those who are on the borderline of the sleep. Means a little sound and wakes up. You put your head on the pillow, you are going to sleep. You are awake, waiting for the sleep to happen. A moment comes when waking is disappearing and sleep is coming in. That is the borderline. Just before the river merges in the ocean, one moment more, it will no more remain the river as it is. It will be part of the ocean, merge into the ocean. That is called the borderline. You are in a state of unconsciousness, but the unconsciousness is disappearing, but the awakening is still far away. It needs a different dimension. You are under the influence of the gravitational pull of the earth. Your journey is continuing. When the spacecraft reaches to that border where, as it is continuing to move in the space, the gravitational pull of the earth starts diminishing, and this gravitational pull of the other planet, wherever it is traveling to, begins more and more. And a moment comes. Now excess force is required in order to nullify the effect of the gravitational pull of the earth. So that's where the spacecraft blasts something and tremendous energy is generated. And with that energy, the effect of the gravitational pull of the earth is nullified, and the effect of the other planet or a star or wherever it is traveling to becomes more dominant. That is the borderline. As a process of interaction in the outer world of objects and beings, being constantly pulled, you have reached to the point where the effect of those forces is diminishing, but the other force has not become strong enough. This is the borderline. The master sees it. He uses his energy field in order to bring you out of that state. There is a particular Sufi parable that says, when the disciple is ready, the master appears. There is a particular story, a young man was in search of a master. So he went from place to place. He inquired from many. Then he saw a man sitting, somebody's microphone is still open. Please check. I can tell you whose microphone is open, but it is not proper to mention on the screen. So he saw a man wrapped in a blanket sitting under the tree outside the village where he lived. He asked him, "What are the qualities of a master? How would I recognize?" He explains the master will be like this, sitting under the tree, doing nothing, wrapped in a blanket, old, a grey beard, long beard, and descriptions he gave. The man thanked the person and went on his search. He searched all about, from places to places, but no one could fulfill the criteria, the description that was given by that man. Everyone thought him to be the wise man in the village. So if anyone has any problem, he will come to this man under the tree, wrapped in a blanket, ask him the questions, get the answer, feel satiated and go back. So that's how this man in search of the master came. He went from places to places, and no one could fulfill the description that was given by this man. In that time flowed on, he became older, maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years have passed, dejected, thinking that he cannot find the master, he is ready to enter the village. Disappointed. As he was entering the village, his sight, he saw a man sitting under the tree, wrapped in a blanket, the great long beard, with serene composure, eyes as if intoxicated. He went to him. He said, I have been on a search for the master. You seem to fulfill the description. Are you the master? He said, yes. Now after all this, at this point, this is how this story has to be told. He said, why you didn't tell me 30 years ago when I came to you to ask the description that you are the master? He told that time you did not have the vision. If I have told you I am the master, you will not recognize. You have to go on your own search, and then one day you will discover the description. The only thing was needed to give is the description. Wasted 30 years in search. It says that it is the master who chooses the disciple. Indeed, it is the master who chooses the disciple, but his choosing always remains indirect. never direct. He always gives a chance to the disciple to choose, as this man did. He tries to create the situations for you to recognize. The disciple is not yet aware that she has already been chosen. But without the master choosing the disciple, there is no way for the disciple to choose the master. His choice, the choice of the disciple, comes second. First the master chooses, then he creates the opportunities, situations for you to recognize him. But the master never imposes. He makes it always free for the disciple to choose. This is what he did. Let this feeling come from deep within. Yes, he is the one. The reason is clear. The disciple is asleep. As a result, he has no idea who is awake and who is not. He is dreaming. How can a person who is in dreams choose then? Whatsoever he chooses, or whosoever he chooses, it is such a simple phenomenon, process to keep the microphones mute. Because you remember these live broadcasts, live streaming are being recorded and will be made available for times to come. Whatever and whoever he chooses is almost certainly going to be wrong. It is a rare coincidence that he may choose the right person. For that, you have to attain to a certain state. It is rare coincidence that he may choose the right person simply because he is unconscious and asleep. He cannot choose. Just think of a room with a few persons sleeping and only one person is awake. Now, can the sleeping person choose who should wake them up? It is impossible. The sleeping person cannot decide who should wake me up. The person in that room who is awake, it is only he who can wake up whoever he wants to wake. Maybe not all of them are necessary to be awakened. Now, can the sleeping person choose who should wake them up? It is impossible. If they can choose that, then there is no need for the master. There is no need for anyone to wake you up. They can wake themselves up. They are already awake if they can choose who should wake them up. The whole burden falls on the master to choose whom to wake up. The question is whom to wake and not who is to wake. So master chooses the one who is on the borderline. The master certainly has the ways to know who is close to awakening. Even if you are watching a few sleeping people, you can decide who is very fast asleep, deeply asleep and snoring, and who is sleeping very light, a thin layer of sleep, and is already on the verge of waking. So you can wake him up that. It is very simple process. If somebody can wake him up, it is not going to take time. But there is every possibility if nobody wakes him up, he may slip back into deep sleep. Turn over again, pull the blanket over himself and go back to sleep. So Master knows, the one who is to wake, that this person is ready to be awakened. A spiritual sleep is not very different from ordinary sleep. It is just a little more complicated and subtle. The spiritual sleep is just a little bit more complicated and subtle. It is one of the functions of the Master to choose the disciple, but never to let the disciple know that she has been chosen. This is on the part of the Master. He chooses the disciple, but he does not let the disciple know that she has been chosen. That will certainly disturb his independence, that is being taken away. His freedom. He wants to give him the total freedom. That will certainly disturb his criteria of independence, that is taking away the freedom. As far as the disciple is concerned, the Master allows him to think that he is the chooser. The disciple thinks that it is he who have chosen. That is out of his compassion to give him the freedom. Even when the Master does nothing, he makes it appear as if it has been done by the disciple himself. This is the way it is. I have talked about the functions of the Masters. And now what are the functions of the disciple? The functions of the disciple are very simple, and this can be condensed in one single word: receptivity, non-resistance, availability, saying yes with full heart. When a situation like that comes, it is like a love affair. You say yes to your spouse. Whatsoever you want to do, you are free to do. From my side, it is total acceptability, total receptivity. There is no resistance. I am available. Yes is my answer. There should be no shadow of no. That is the barrier. The Master cannot function with a no standing between him and the disciple. Because he cannot be violent, he cannot destroy the no, he cannot remove it, because all that will be interfering with the innermost life of the disciple. Innermost life of the disciple. So it is the function of the disciple not to put the Master in such a situation where he cannot walk. The yes on the part of the disciple, the total and unconditional yes, gives the whole scope to the Master to walk within you, within the seeker. And now there is no question of interference. You have allowed the Master to be guest in your heart, to be the guest in your innermost sanctum, and you are the host. And it is one of the greatest joys for the disciple to experience the Master has come within him, and he has not, and the disciple has not resist it in any way. With total awareness, total willingness, you have allowed the Master to come in as a guest in your innermost sanctum. His whole life has been that of resistance. He has never allowed anyone with a total yes, not even his lovers, not even his parents, not even his friends, not even his children. To no one he has ever said an unconditional yes. I mean unconditional yes. It has always been conditional, and conditional means mixed yes with a mixed no. It has never been pure yes. He has always been guarding himself, not only against enemies but against friends as well. So he is guarding both friends as well as the enemies. In fact, one does not need to guard himself against enemies too much, because they are always far away. They are not dangerous. The real question is of those who are very close to you and close to your being. They can stab a knife in your back very easily. You have to be constantly on the guard. Constantly on the guard. There is an Urdu poem which is very significant. It says, I will take care of my enemies, God, but you please take care of my friends. I am not in danger from the enemies. I know them. I am on the guard. But about friends, I am always confused. Things are not clear. And to be on guard with friends is painful. So you take care of me against my friends. It is only with the Master that for the first time you put all your guards away. To some extent, this happens when there is a deep love between the spouse. All the barriers are put aside. That is indeed the only function of the disciple. If you can do this, the rest happens on its own. You need not be worried about anything else. Just put aside all your guards. That is the only necessity, the only function of the disciple. It is great and arduous, but single. It implies everything: openness, readiness to go wherever the Master is leading him. It is a way of becoming part of the being of the Master. It is a way. It is a way of becoming part of the being of the Master and allowing him to be within you. Now there is no fear. No fear of any kind. The host has welcomed, allowed. The host have no problem to come to your place. The host welcomes you to come to his place. With open arms, he receives him. And that is all. Once you have done that openness, the rest begins to happen on its own. This is an important thing. It is the master that chooses the disciple first. Then, this way, the master gives him the total freedom, and then disciple chooses and thinks that he has chosen the master. Only this much for this morning. Until tomorrow, take care and do have a pleasant day.